My son's voice sliced through the quiet of my living room like a knife through silk. You have to come, Ma. She needs you 40 days. That's all we're asking. I froze, my knitting needles clattering to the floor. 40 days as a servant in my daughter-in-law's house, summoned like a hired hand, not a mother. The demand hung in the air, heavy as the August heat pressing against the windows of my small, tidy home in suburban Ohio. I'm Evelyn, 62, widowed, and no stranger to sacrifice. But this felt like a betrayal wrapped in a plea for help. It was a humid evening, the kind where the air sticks to your skin and tempers flare without warning. My son, Daniel, stood in front of me, his broad shoulders blocking the light from the lamp, casting a shadow that swallowed half the room. His wife, Lila, pregnant with their first child, hovered near the doorway, her hands cradling her belly, eyes darting between us. She looked tired, fragile even. But there was something else in her gaze, guilt, maybe, or fear that this conversation was spiraling out of control. Daniel, I said, my voice steady despite the storm brewing in my chest. I'd do anything for you, for her, for my grandchild, but you're asking me to drop my life, my home, to play maid for 6 weeks. He scoffed, running a hand through his dark hair, a gesture so like his father's, it made my heart ache. It's not like that, Ma. It's tradition. Lila's mom did it for her sister, and now it's your turn. You're the grandma, for God's sake. Tradition, the word landed like a stone. In Lila's culture, the 40 days after birth were sacred, a time for the new mother to rest, heal, and bond with her baby, while the women in her family cooked, cleaned, and cared for her. I respected it, truly. I'd read about it, even asked Lila's mother, May, for recipes to try when the baby came. But Daniel's tone, the way he spat your turn like I owed them my servitude, made my blood simmer. Grandma, I repeated, tasting the word, not maid. Daniel, not your personal housekeeper. Lila shifted uncomfortably, her floral dress swaying as she stepped forward. Evelyn, we don't mean it like that, she said softly, her voice a stark contrast to Daniel's. It's just, I'm scared. The baby's coming soon, and I don't know if I can do this alone. Her eyes glistened, and for a moment, I saw the girl I'd welcomed into our family 5 years ago, kind, nervous, always trying to please. But Daniel wasn't done. You're acting like we're asking for the world, he said, pacing now, his sneakers squeaking on my hardwood floor. You're retired. Ma, you've got nothing but time. What's stopping you? The accusation stung worse than a slap. Nothing but time. I'd raised him alone after his father died in a car accident when he was 10. I'd worked double shifts at the hospital, mended his scraped knees, cheered at his baseball games, and paid for his college with money I scraped together from overtime and thrift store clothes. Nothing but time I'd given him my life. I stood, my knees creaking, and faced him. What's stopping me? Daniel, is that you didn't ask. You demanded. You didn't even invite me to be part of this joy. You told me to show up and serve. He blinked, caught off guard, but the fire in his eyes didn't dim. You're making this about you? He snapped. This is about Lila, about our baby. You're supposed to want to help. The room fell silent, save for the hum of the air conditioner. Lila's hands tightened on her belly, and I saw the weight of her silence. She wasn't just scared of childbirth, she was caught between her husband's temper and my pride. I wanted to reach for her, to tell her I'd be there, but the words stuck in my throat. Not like this. Not when my son saw me as a means to an end. The argument spiraled from there, voices rising, old wounds reopening. Daniel brought up every sacrifice he thought I hadn't made. Every time I'd been too busy when he was a kid. I countered with the nights I'd stayed up worrying, the dreams I'd shelved to keep him fed. Lila tried to mediate, but her soft pleas drowned in our storm. By the time they left, the front door slamming behind them, I was shaking, my heart a tangle of love and rage. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the phone. I wanted to call to fix this, but pride held me back. Instead, I called May, Lila's mother, hoping for clarity. Her voice was warm but firm over the line. Evelyn, in our tradition, the mother's role is an honor, not a chore. But Daniel, he's wrong to demand it. Your family, not a servant. Her words were a balm, but they didn't erase the hurt. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between me and Daniel grew heavier. I busied myself with gardening, book club, anything to fill the void. But every night, I'd lie awake, picturing the grandchild I hadn't yet met, wondering if I'd lost them both over a principle. Then one rainy afternoon, a knock at my door jolted me from my thoughts. Lila stood there, soaked, her face pale. "Evelyn," she whispered, "the baby's coming. Early. Daniel's at work. And I need you." My heart lurched. Without a word, I grabbed my coat and drove her to the hospital, her hand clutching mine through every contraction. In that sterile room, as she pushed and cried and brought little Mia into the world, I saw her strength, her fear, her love. I held her hand, wiped her brow, and when Mia's first cry pierced the air, I wept with her. Daniel arrived hours later, his face a mix of relief and shame. "Ma," he started, but I shook my head. "Not now," I said, my voice soft but firm. "We're here for Mia." The 40 days that followed were nothing like I'd feared. I stayed with them, not as a maid, but as a mother, a grandmother. I cooked Lila's favorite congee, taught her how to swaddle Mia, and rocked the baby to sleep when exhaustion overtook her. Daniel was quieter, his apologies unspoken but in his actions washing dishes, thanking me for small things, meeting my eyes with something like respect. One evening, as we sat together, Mia asleep in my arms, Lila spoke. "I'm sorry, Evelyn. I didn't want you to feel forced. I needed you, and I didn't know how to ask." I squeezed her hand. "You don't have to ask. Lila, I'm here because I want to be." Daniel looked at me, his jaw tight. "I was wrong, Ma. I didn't see it how I made you feel. I just wanted everything to be perfect for Lila. For Mia." I nodded, the knot in my chest loosening. "We're family, Daniel. We don't demand. We love." Those weeks weren't perfect. There were sleepless nights, messy diapers, and moments when old tensions flared. But we learned me to let go of pride, Daniel to see me as more than a role, Lila to find her voice. Mia, with her tiny hands and curious eyes, was the glue that held us together, reminding us what mattered. As I packed to return home, Lila hugged me, tears in her eyes. "You're not just a grandma," she said. "You're our rock." Driving away, I felt lighter. Not because the fight was over, but because we'd found our way back to each other. Family isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about showing up, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. What do you think? Where does duty end and love begin? How do we balance tradition with respect, or pride with forgiveness? Share your thoughts, because these questions don't have easy answers, and every family story is different.